2 years of volunteer teaching have been far harder than she ever imagined. But she always tells herself to stay true to her dream of guiding students into a bigger world outside. As a nurse, she rushes among wards and walks more than 30,000 steps every day. Yet, she still sees innumerable anxious faces waiting. The world's sweetest apples are grown here. But outdated and costly transaction methods and lack of planting and logistics funds make it impossible to get the best returns from such rich resources. He has worked in the mine for years. Throughout his career, he's been accompanied by dirt, darkness, and danger. But as a dad, he always says to his family, "Don't worry, I'm the luckiest person in the world." In 2020, the world changed dramatically. With one peer after another rising to challenges, he feels a strong sense of urgency.
有一天我想，为什么不能让世界先走进大山呢？
I wish we could slow down and have fewer patients waiting.
只需要多一点计划，给人们带领全村走出一条不一样的路。
How can we then, traditional manufacturing, reap the benefits of technology?
我想让世界上每一个爸爸都变成幸运的人。
We listen and hear each voice in every industry, every business, every person, and we make each voice special through our intelligent cloud network, tailored to each industry. Education Cloud Network is bridging the digital divide and making educational equality a reality. Healthcare Cloud Network is watching over patients around the clock like never before. Financial Cloud Network is opening up all new paths to prosperity, unimaginable to prior generations. Mining Cloud Network is securing every corner of mining sites, even previously untouched zones. Manufacturing Cloud Network is tackling the industrial dilemmas that remained unsolved in the industrial era. Listen to these extraordinary voices, filled with yearning, care, duty, and dreams. These are the voices cheering on the Intelligent Cloud Network, a platform that makes dreams a reality and is reshaping the future of all industries. Two years of volunteer teaching have been far harder than she ever imagined. But she always tells herself to stay true to her dream of guiding students into a bigger world outside. As a nurse, she rushes among wards and walks more than 30,000 steps every day. Yet, she still sees innumerable anxious faces waiting. The world's sweetest apples are grown here. But outdated and costly transaction methods and lack of planting and logistics funds make it impossible to get the best returns from such rich resources. He has worked in the mine for years. Throughout his career, he's been accompanied by dirt, darkness, and danger. But as a dad, he always says to his family, "Don't worry, I'm the luckiest person in the world." In 2020, the world changed dramatically. With one peer after another rising to challenges, he feels a strong sense of urgency.
有一天，我想，为什么不能让世界先走进大山呢？
I wish we could slow down and have fewer patients waiting.
只需要多一点计划，给你们带领全村走出一条不一样的路。
How can we then, traditional manufacturing, reap the benefits of technology?
我想让世界上每一个爸爸都变成幸运的人。
We listen and hear each voice in every industry, every business, every person, and we make each voice special through our intelligent cloud network tailored to each industry. Education Cloud Network is bridging the digital divide and making educational equality a reality. Healthcare Cloud Network is watching over patients around the clock like never before. Financial Cloud Network is opening up all new paths to prosperity, unimaginable to prior generations. Mining Cloud Network is securing every corner of mining sites, even previously untouched zones. Manufacturing Cloud Network is tackling the industrial dilemmas that remained unsolved in the industrial era. Listen to these extraordinary voices, filled with yearning, care, duty, and dreams. These are the voices cheering on the Intelligent Cloud Network, a platform that makes dreams a reality and is reshaping the future of all industries.
Networks let humanity reach unprecedented heights. From laying the first road to building interconnected highways, we are able to reach farther corners of the world with all new businesses flourishing alongside. From the launch of the first power plant to the formation of giant power grids, the darkest nights are lit up by bright lights, with the electrification age moving at an accelerated pace. An epochal change is quietly underway. From the inception of the first network connecting 2 points to the explosion of the internet, people have been pulled closer together, and the door to the information age is well and truly open. From separate connections to networks, and from minor changes to tremendous changes, IP networks are continuously breaking boundaries. They've penetrated into every corner, creating unprecedented momentum. They deliver intelligence to every aspect of our lives. They keep us cared for with connected healthcare. When we need connections, IP networks are right here with us. When we ask questions, IP networks channel the answers. When we exercise our imagination, IP networks extend infinitely. Like everything that adapts to changing times, IP networks never stop evolving. The IPv6 Next Generation Internet provides unlimited space for service and network innovation. Crossing time and space, breaking boundaries, from the past to the future, from the known to the unknown, and from the real to the virtual. IP networks are everywhere, opening up infinite possibilities. IP on everything, building ubiquitous intelligent IP connections.
Data is the cornerstone of the intelligence era. It makes the intelligent world a reality. Computing is the primary productive force of the intelligence era. It delivers insight into what's going on. Data centers make data more focused, while the network makes it easy to connect everyone. In the intelligence era, service traffic increases sharply, data silos grow explosively, and 90% of data is underutilized. Facing frequent service changes, traditional O&M becomes inefficient. As such, that's why Huawei Cloud Fabric DCN comes in. It comprehensively improves 3 capabilities, focuses on network pain points in the intelligence era, and helps enterprises achieve intelligent transformation. It provides super capacity, allowing data to flow freely. Cloud Engine series switches have a variety of models and can be flexibly combined to meet smooth evolution of enterprises in the next 10 years. It delivers intelligent experience, making data more valuable. Huawei Intelligent and Lossless DCN employs the unique iLossless AI algorithm to achieve zero packet loss and efficiently unleash computing power. It offers autonomous driving, enabling data to be always on anytime. iMaster NCE Fabric uses technologies such as intent abstraction, digital twin, and AI to deliver tangible benefits such as device plug-and-play and simplified deployment, intent-driven intelligent network solution recommendation, pre-event simulation and error-free network change, 135 intelligent O&M automatic fault rectification. Huawei Cloud Fabric leads DCNs into the intelligence era, making computing more valuable.
The history of human civilization is tightly interwoven with progressing connectivity. From not records to written languages, from signals in enclosed turrets to win-win free trade, from post riders to instant communication. We never stop pursuing and redefining connectivity. Taking each step firmly, we extended connectivity into new, untouched areas beyond the known world. What wonders can we see in connectivity today? Communicate with street lamps, interact with vegetables, resurrect dinosaurs, and see them up close. Find a way out before despair. In the era when everything is connected, technology brings such imaginations to life. Data communications networks with a super capacity create order out of torrents of data. Data communications networks with intelligent experience replace best effort with SLA guaranteed forwarding. Data communications networks with autonomous driving replace manual intervention on late night shifts with network autonomy and self-healing. Today, data communications networks bursting with intelligence harness the power of the 4 engines. Connect people, connect enterprises, connect computing power.
laying a digital foundation for new infrastructure, enabling a digital bridge for all industries. Working behind the scenes, intelligent cloud network ensures shopping is more personalized than ever. Every financial transaction is smoothly made. Valentine's gifts are swiftly delivered via robots. Each question has more and richer answers. Every life receives the respect it deserves. And a new journey can be embarked on fearlessly. Connectivity will never cease to evolve. Because no matter where we are, we must connect with our loved ones. And to the road we must take. Connecting value. Connecting hope. Connectivity is limitless. Connectivity knows no bounds.
From manual operations to intelligent production. From the era of beacons to that of intelligent connectivity of everything, enterprise digitalization has become the new normal. Improving office and operational efficiency, inspiring further innovations, and responding to fast-changing market requirements are crucial to the development of enterprise networks. Huawei's autonomous driving network solutions for campuses leverage digital twins to visualize physical networks, gain insight into requirements to offer the optimal deployment solution, perform situational awareness to provide intelligent cloud edge device collaborative protection, and closely monitor networks to ensure optimal connectivity experience. This unleashes the digital value of network automation and intelligence, empowering industries. Every day, Huawei's autonomous driving network solution for campuses streamline the deployment of smart retail stores, enable smart factories through production line reconstruction, ensure secure and trustworthy access of smart healthcare LOT devices, improve the distribution efficiency of intelligent warehouse robotics, and spread knowledge through remote education. With Huawei's autonomous driving network solution for campuses, enterprise digitalization and intelligent connectivity are within reach.
Networks let humanity reach unprecedented heights. From laying the first road to building interconnected highways, we are able to reach farther corners of the world with all new businesses flourishing alongside. From the launch of the first power plant to the formation of giant power grids, the darkest nights are lit up by bright lights, with the electrification age moving at an accelerated pace. An epochal change is quietly underway. From the inception of the first network connecting 2 points to the explosion of the internet, people have been pulled closer together, and the door to the information age is well and truly open. From separate connections to networks, and from minor changes to tremendous changes, IP networks are continuously breaking boundaries. They've penetrated into every corner, creating unprecedented momentum. They deliver intelligence to every aspect of our lives. They keep us cared for with connected healthcare. They revitalize traditional manufacturing and bring intensive farming into tireless production lines. They revive long-lost civilizations from the annals of history. They forge fantastic futuristic ideas before our very eyes. When we need connections, IP networks are right here with us. When we ask questions, IP networks channel the answers. When we exercise our imagination, IP networks extend infinitely. Like everything that adapts to changing times, IP networks never stop evolving. The IPv6 Next Generation Internet provides unlimited space for service and network innovation, crossing time and space, breaking boundaries, from the past to the future, from the known to the unknown, and from the real to the virtual. IP networks are everywhere, opening up infinite possibilities. IP on everything, building ubiquitous intelligent IP connections.
Data is the cornerstone of the intelligence era. It makes the intelligent world a reality. Computing is the primary productive force of the intelligence era. It delivers insight into what's going on. Data centers make data more focused, while the network makes it easy to connect everyone. In the intelligence era, service traffic increases sharply, data silos grow explosively, and 90% of data is underutilized. Facing frequent service changes, traditional O&M becomes inefficient. As such, that's why Huawei Cloud Fabric DCN comes in. It comprehensively improves 3 capabilities, focuses on network pain points in the intelligence era, and helps enterprises achieve intelligent transformation. It provides super capacity, allowing data to flow freely. Cloud Engine series switches have a variety of models and can be flexibly combined to meet smooth evolution of enterprises in the next 10 years. It delivers intelligent experience, making data more valuable. Huawei Intelligent and Lossless DCN employs the unique iLossless AI algorithm to achieve zero packet loss and efficiently unleash computing power. It offers autonomous driving, enabling data to be always on anytime. iMaster NCE Fabric uses technologies such as intent abstraction, digital twin, and AI to deliver tangible benefits such as device plug-and-play and simplified deployment, intent-driven intelligent network solution recommendation, pre-event simulation and error-free network change, 135 intelligent O&M automatic fault rectification. Huawei Cloud Fabric leads DCNs into the intelligent era, making computing more valuable.
The history of human civilization is tightly interwoven with progressing connectivity. From not records to written languages, from signals in enclosed turrets to win-win free trade, from post riders to instant communication. We never stop pursuing and redefining connectivity. Taking each step firmly, we extended connectivity into new, untouched areas beyond the known world. What wonders can we see in connectivity today? Communicate with street lamps, interact with vegetables, resurrect dinosaurs, and see them up close. Find a way out before despair. In the era when everything is connected. Technology brings such imaginations to life. Data communications networks with a super capacity create order out of torrents of data. Data communications networks with intelligent experience replace best effort with SLA guaranteed forwarding. Data communications networks with autonomous driving replace manual intervention on late night shifts with network autonomy and self-healing. Today, data communications networks bursting with intelligence harness the power of the four engines. Connect people, connect enterprises, connect computing power. Laying a digital foundation for new infrastructure. Enabling a digital bridge for all industries. Working behind the scenes, intelligent cloud network ensures shopping is more personalized than ever. Every financial transaction is smoothly made. Valentine's gifts are swiftly delivered via robots. Each question has more and richer answers. Every life receives the respect it deserves. And a new journey can be embarked on fearlessly. Connectivity will never cease to evolve. Because no matter where we are, we must connect with our loved ones. And to the road we must take. Connecting value. Connecting hope. Connectivity is limitless. Connectivity knows no bounds.
From manual operations to intelligent production. From the era of beacons to that of intelligent connectivity of everything, enterprise digitalization has become the new normal. Improving office and operational efficiency, inspiring further innovations, and responding to fast-changing market requirements are crucial to the development of enterprise networks. Huawei's autonomous driving network solutions for campuses leverage digital twins to visualize physical networks, gain insight into requirements to offer the optimal deployment solution, perform situational awareness to provide intelligent cloud edge device collaborative protection, and closely monitor networks to ensure optimal connectivity experience. This unleashes the digital value of network automation and intelligence, empowering industries. Every day, Huawei's autonomous driving network solution for campuses streamline the deployment of smart retail stores, enable smart factories through production line reconstruction, ensure secure and trustworthy access of smart healthcare LOT devices, improve the distribution efficiency of intelligent warehouse robotics, and spread knowledge through remote education. With Huawei's autonomous driving network solution for campuses, enterprise digitalization and intelligent connectivity are within reach.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Huawei's IP Gala 2023. My name is Sipeng Xiao. I'm a MPOS Congress Steering Committee member, and I'm also the V6 Operations Working Group Chair of the IETF. Today, it's my honor to be the host of this IP Gala. Before I start to introduce the agenda, first I would like to talk about a few housekeeping issues. First, please turn your mobile phone into silence mode. Can you please do it now? This is the first one. The second one is that this event is expected to run to about 5 o'clock or 5:30. At the end of this event, when you exit the room, you can get a small gift. We prepare a small souvenir for you. And also, at that time, there will be a cocktail reception outside with light food served. So now back to the agenda. So we have an attractive agenda this afternoon, starting with an opening speech from Mr. Feng Su, the Vice President of Sales for Huawei's data communication product line. And then we invite Samir, a senior principal analyst from Omdia, to talk about the network vision. After the network vision, naturally, it will be the target network architecture. And it will be delivered by Mr. Gu Zhui, Vice President of Product Management. After the vision and the target network architecture, it follows with the hot topic in the industry, which is SRv6, delivered by Chief Protocol Expert, Mr. Li Zhengbing. Also, regarding SRv6, one of the most interesting question or most asked question is that whether SRv6 can interoperate among multiple vendors. Carsten from EANTC will give us the latest update of SRv6 multi-vendor interoperation. And the fifth topic is from Mr. Wu Qing, and he will talk about digital map and network automation. This is a topic that operators are highly interested in because it's directly related to OPEX, which is what operator care the most. The last topic will be by Ms. Wen Huizhi, a solution director of Huawei. She will talk about managed service. This is another topic that operators are deeply interested in because this is bring on new service revenue possibility. So these are the agenda for the afternoon. Now let me introduce our first speaker who will give the opening speech. Again, Mr. Feng Su is the VP of Global IP Sales. And before that, he was also the VP of Product Management. So he not only have the business savvy from the sales role, he also have the technology savvy from the product management role. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Feng Su.
Dear customers, distinguished guests and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, welcome to Paris and attend IP Gala. Thank you. As we all see, an intelligent world is coming. The development of new technologies such as 5G, VR, AR, and AI is changing the human society. In the past few years, the 5G and the gigabit home broadband are deployment worldwide, and the traffic increases rapidly. This raises higher network construction standards for the bearing network. We require not only higher bandwidth, but also intelligent connectivity for multi-service, converged transport, and differentiated SLA requirements. Grid network for sustainable development. Therefore, we need to explore and research continuously in terms of theoretical technologies, engineering methods, and system architectures. Meanwhile, the industry digital transformation is accelerating. High quality and the secure IP network is the foundation. Small and middle-sized enterprises lack the necessary funds and the talent to keep their network stable and secure. They are in urgent need of high quality and affordable managed services. This brings opportunities and challenges for operators. We invite industry leaders and experts to participate in this IP Gala to discuss solutions to these challenges and share successful practices. At the same time, we will release our innovative solutions to address the opportunities and the challenges. I hope you get sparks of thought in Paris. Let's explore the future of the intelligent IP network and unleash full potential. Welcome to IP Gala. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feng Su. Our first presentation comes from Samir Ashfaq Malik. Samir is unique in the industry in that he is not only an analyst from an analyst firm, he also worked for vendors and operators before. So not only he has the breadth from being an analyst, he also has the depth from a vendor and have the first-hand experience from an operator. So let's welcome Samir to provide his insight for Network 2025.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shiping Xiao. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the IP Gala. My name, I already mentioned by Shiping Xiao, is Samir. I'm working as a senior principal analyst for network routing and switching for service providers network. I'm based in Australia, so this is a long journey for me since yesterday. Call was 30 hours from Sydney to Paris to join this MPLS forum and for sure this IP Gala. Today, the topic of my presentation is more about the insights of integrated IP barrier network. That what are the insights other than the technology? I used to work as service provider. I used to work as a vendor in the world as well. So, but now being as an analyst, what are the trending trends for IP network? Where the data communication networks are going on? What about the market share? And what are the insights regarding the new use cases for the business enterprise or the consumer market? So this I'm going to talk here. If you think that any question that not clear in your mind, you can stop me anytime, or during the cocktail, I'm here to discuss and share my more insights, because that's my one role as being an analyst, working with the Omdia, but also I'm doing the lead consulting for the white papers for different IP. You can Google with my name and you can find out different technology white papers as well. So I'm going to share that one as in the session as well. So moving to next slide, couple of good slides from my side is a lot of graphs over here. So I'm not going to confuse on the graphs. The key message over here is that the connectivity demand is growing. And I know many French operators or service providers, people sitting here. The good news from the analyst industry is that the connectivity demand is going up and up. And it's not only for the wireless part that mentioned like 2.2 billion wireless connection, but for the fixed network, 243 million connections going to be more on connectivity from 2021 till 2027. So a lot of business potential is available for all the service providers. And from the IoT perspective, what our research is 43.7 billion IoT devices will be going in the market from 2021 to 2027. So the huge market potential. The good news are that demand fundamentals are quite sound, quite steady. And then the only thing is how we can leverage that demand fundamentals to get more business. So that's the first slide. Second slide is about the enterprise. As we already know that because of the 5G, we are going more deeper and deeper into the 5G. Now people are talking about the 5G advance. And even I've seen some are talking about 6G when we don't know the future of 5G at the moment, right? So the thing is like that enterprise market is very sound. B2B, or we call it the business to business in easy words, can promise incremental revenue for service providers. One of the calculations and analysis in the market, as shown in the forecast as well, you can see over here that 2.2, almost 2 trillion in 2022 to 3.3 trillion by 2027 is actually available in the market for the business B2B. So it's a huge incremental revenue opportunity for service providers around the world to tap that market. Now the key question is, what is the basic necessity for tapping up this market? Is the services or is the network infrastructure? For sure, a lot of services like AI, artificial enabled services, blockchain, financial, cloud or cloudification is going up. Overall, whatever services you're talking about, the most interesting thing is the network. Your network, the underlay network, either is IP or optical, is available or not. If there is an IP or the integrated IP network for network routing and traffic is available, then you can only tap these services. We talk about the AI, blockchain, cloudification, or whatever. So that's very important. So even in this graph, if you can see over here, the green color is showing about the network. If you can see, my graph is a bit difficult, is not that big in the chart. Maybe some question in your mind that why the network is going down. Because most of the service providers, they already developed the network and they are in the phase of modernizing the network. But without that modernization of network or availability of network, you cannot realize the enterprise potential. So this time, the services go up, and network may be a bit slow. But again, the network modernization is necessary or imperative for the success of the business. So that's the key message from the enterprise sector. Now, next is about the service provider routing and switching outlook. Because we used in Omdia, we have to, or Omdia is basically, I can tell you the quick back, is a British company, falls under Informa. I think you already heard about it. We can do the network routing and switching the market share. Every quarter, we need to know that what is the market share for Europe, for Asia, for US, or for different regions. So considering this one, that is the very interesting thing, like Q4 2022, the Asia Pacific, that include the Oceania, like Australia, Japan, New Zealand, the total market share for this market is around 37% in the world. So like Q4 2022, that means the last quarter. Q1 is still not released from my side. And then the leading is, by the Asia, and then is the 34% is by the North America, like the US and Canada. And the reason for that leading is US, Canada is because of the 5G backhaul implementation, internet cloud providers, or the cloudification, or enterprise cloudification is going very high. Asia and Oceania mostly talking about the 5G industrial use cases. And the third number is talking about the EMEA, the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So that is 24% as per my analysis for the network routing and switching. So for sure, Latin America, the South America is 5%, so that's not a very big market. But overall, you can see the biggest competitorship is between the APAC, North America, and the EMEA region. So a lot of potential is there. As per the calculation, around 15.9, or you can say 16 billion market for network routing and switching in Q4 2022. And it's going up and up with the time. So network related to the IP, upgradation and modernization have a lot of business potential. This is the number not by Huawei, not by other big vendors, is basically from the analysts as a third party, where every quarter we get the reports, we got the market share from different vendors, and we can analyze our own justification, what are the trends, and then how we forecast the market for the next 5 or 7 years, and which services going to be high and high. So that's interesting part that I would like to share my latest analysis on the routing and switching. And now another question is in the mind that what are the key trends? Why 16 billion market? Something magic? Or why people are going for 16 billion market? So these are some of the answers. That digital economy, or we call it in easy word, digitalization is going up and up. So digital transformation is increasing with the faster pace with the time. Then 5G, the thing that we started 4 or 5 years back, now is the right time to tap the 5G potential, because 5G now is not for mostly consumer market, but for the enterprise market. where we use the industrial digitalization, industrial transformation. We call talking about in Europe, especially Industry 4.0 in Germany, that how we can leverage the network for Industry 4.0. So that's another motivator or the trend. Then we have at home. We talk about the video services, but now at home, the consumers are looking for cloud VR. How the cloud VR can grow, where the cloud gaming can going further, how the 8K video traffic can comes in the picture. So that's the heightened consumer demands also from home as well. No matter is using the pure wireless 5G internet, like in Australia, even some companies, even Vodafone is giving these services on purely 5G. There is no broadband. But they're competing with NB, and I'm just giving you one example, pure fiber-oriented network. So the experience on fiber is always totally different than the 5G. But the trend is still there. You need a network, the transport network that connect the two ends. And then for sure the cloud, and we'll talk about the cloudification because many enterprise, they have a wish or they have a dream to go clouds sooner or later. And I personally believe that when we talk about cloudification and we talk about enterprise evolution, there are two types of enterprises. Number one, we talk about verticals. I can show you in the next slide. We talk about agriculture, we talk about the farming, we talk about shipping and whatever, even the smart hospitals. Another big potential in the market is called SMEs, small medium enterprise. Even in France, I can talk a lot of big market for small medium enterprise, where service provider can go and tap the revenue. Because they don't have the expenses to manage their IT resources. They don't have expenses or capability to manage their cloud. So they either go for managed service providers or the third-party cloud providers. So service provider being as a strong grip on their network, they can get benefit of this network, benefit of this revenue from the small medium enterprise by providing the network connectivity and then managed services. So now the role of service providers, in my understanding, and I already wrote one article 2 days before published, that service providers are not more communication service providers, like many sitting here. You are more digital service providers. So you are DSPs. So digital service provider that can give connectivity plus the managed services. So that's a new trend for the service providers industry. Now these are some of the pictures I just tried to put in my slide, and I always believe that pictures speak 1,000 words, and that's a story over here. You can see a lot of industry or industrialization is going on. People want to use the metaverse. We are talking about a metaverse, still is not the reality. I think 2025 and onwards is my analysis that metaverse will be a reality where there is a narrow gap between the digital and the physical boundaries or the physical world. So there is a digital twinning is coming up. Then we talk about the smart city initiatives. Many governments, they want to do the real smart city with end-to-end complete security infrastructure, where they need a complete urbanization of their resources. Then we have a lot of examples like this picture is from the Germany Industry 4.0, that how they can use the robotic hands to manufacture the manufacturing part, how they can use or get the data from the PLC adapters through telemetry or MQTT. I'm just talking about technical protocol, how they leverage the MQTT and then send data from PLC to the remote locations. And then from the mobile phone, smartphone, they can manage all the industrial shop floors. So that's the new concept, how we can endure the value of IP network for Industry 4.0. That's very critical. And this is what I know that meeting with many service providers around the world, the CXOs really want to leverage for the business potential. So these are some of the applications, especially for the farming. You know that Australia is a farming country, is an agriculture country. So they want to leverage that 5G resources for their farming. Like the Norway want to leverage for the sea fishing or the salmon fishing. The same, this country is want to leverage the farming, how they can use the 5G to potential. So that's some of the example, and the key message over here is that IP network is the basic underlying capability to connect the digital economy. That's for sure. Now we accept it or not, that's another story, but that's the underlying story. And then the simple IP is not workable. We need to modernize the IP. We need to make IP more intelligent. And for that one, I think segment routing or IPv6, or we talk about these days capabilities of ITF using the IPv enhanced by using end-to-end SRv6 and hard slicing will be a next step. So it's no more in the books or in the Google search. Is now the time to really implement it. And happy to talk on that, but that's another topic. So if you have more questions, I'm happy to share my insights on slicing and IPv6. Now, next slide is about the Omdia key findings for integrated network. So I just compiled a couple of things that when we go for cloudification, what are the targets? If service provider, you can ask me that, okay, we agree to go cloudification in France, we are doing the cloudification, but what are the targets? How we can do it? So these are some of the key messages. One hop, simplified to multi-access clouds. What happened at the moment is one network, one connection, and one cloud. But now your customers need one simplified connection to multiple clouds, including private, public, or hybrid clouds. That's called resiliency. Then we talk about deterministic networking experience. I need everything within a second. I need a millisecond or maybe, I don't know, the nanoseconds latency for my services. I need a higher throughput. That's called deterministic experience. For example, if I want to send something in a drone, and drone have a throughput maybe like in minutes or hours, then my service can go down. I'm not happy to get it. That's not a cloudification. So we need deterministic experience. Then cloud edge device, how we can interact my edge devices with the cloud. And that's one of the reasons the edge computing, we call it the edge compute, is very famous. How we can do the edge computing. That's a new potential. And that's the reason most of the IP industry vendors, they are talking about edge devices. And I'm sure that tomorrow, maybe many can talk about this one as well. This is my prediction. Then last but not the least is, the heterogeneous IoT access I already talked about. Then intelligently connected industrial internet. Again, I'm happy to share my article on industrial internet, why people are talking about industrial internet. What is the key thing in industrial internet? The key thing in industrial internet is basically heterogeneous industrial IoTs. How my different devices in my factory, in my working area can cooperate with each other. How I can leverage all the data from different PLCs and different last mile connectivities to my centralized cloud center. That's the key. So that is the potential for IP. And the reason I'm showing you over here, I message in my blue bar in the slide that 2025 or maybe 2026 onwards, we need emerging applications. So it's no more in the books again. We need to be really very much aggressive in the industry and ready to reach that one or to uncover that one. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So only IP networks, simple IP networks, cannot able to achieve that one. That's the message. And now, what is the answer? How we can do it on the network side? One of the picture from the white paper is that we need to do catalyzing and the bandwidth upgrade for my access, my metro networks, and for my core networks. So we need to see what is the catalyzing of my bandwidth upgradation on 3 different levels in routers or in the 3 routing sites. Otherwise, we cannot succeed. And then how we can do the simplified connection to my cloud. So that's one of the reasons. And then another reason is for the enterprise evaluation for multi-cloud. Otherwise, we cannot compete with the cloud service provider. So this is the revenue. We do the total addressable market for big cloud providers like Amazon, Azure, and many other big ones. So they have a lot of total addressable market is quite big. So how the service provider can compete with them, that's very important. So we need to catalyze the bandwidth upgradation on access, edge, and core to go towards a complete cloudification. So that's called the modernization of IP. Some of the example over here that this is, for example, the complete barrier network. So integrated IP barrier network, what we need to do. Some of the suggestions here for the campus networks. And by the way, for the campus networks, the definition is actually changed. Now, campus networks may be anything like hospital, maybe hotels, maybe anything. And ICT or digital information technologies can redefine the campus networks with the merging of LAN and WAN networks. So campus networks are not only the LAN networks, they are the part of the wide area network. And when we talk about the wide area network, it means that I can manage my campus experience by sitting at my office through the cloud. That's called the merging of LAN and WAN and enterprise. So for this one, this slide one go. So Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 for 30 gig in campus network, that's a trend. And people have started talking about that, how we can upgrade to Wi-Fi 7. For the access side, they need 50 gig to the cell site or 50 gig to the access site. That's the modernization I'm talking about, the IP. For the metro networks, they're going from 100G to 400 gig now. You've seen many vendors already announce the 400 gig, the converged metro, or many, you can name anything on the cloud, right? And I think my prediction, my forecast, that will be happening tomorrow as well, that many can show the 400 gig. Then the last but not the least, on the core side is the 800 gig. So what is the dynamics, what is the economics of 800G? Why we need 800G? People saying this not no much services now, it's all marketing, it's all about the solution pitch or the sales pitch. So why we need 800G? Why we go directly from 100 gig to directly to 800 gig? How we can save the carbon footprints, how we can save the power efficiencies, how we can utilize the fan resources. So what is the best way for using the 800G upgradation on the core? So that's the next step. And again, the motivation as mentioned is 2025 and onwards. I'm not talking about 800 gig by tomorrow morning, we need some services. But we need to modernize and keep the network up and running today to save future CapEx cost. So that's very important. So that's some of the suggestions, including the data center as well, that how we can upgrade the integrated IP barrier network on different layers, edge, metro, and the core. So this is all from my slides, my presentation today. The last 3 slides is just a bit of announcement from my side. Being as an Omdia and with the other partners, we have the WBBA, World Broadband Association, is like a standard, not a standard body, is like a group of different companies, is already joined by Nokia, Huawei, Ookla, China Telecom, China Unicom, and you've seen a couple of logos, even Expo as well. So what we're doing is this, we're having an industry or the peer review groups where we can do the business research for different use cases from different technology research, and then we find out the common interest points, and we find out to make it how we move further to standardize the IP networks. Mostly for the IP networks, but we also talk about the broadband networks, and we talk about the home broadband. So we already issued 3 white papers. One is about the sustainability, the broadband roadmap for the home enterprise or home users, and for the broadband network development. So that's a new initiative, is running by the different executives around the world. I think now is getting, if not wrong, more than 30 executives around the world already joined. Omdia is one of the partner member, and main job for us is to write down the technology white paper. So that's new initiative, and I would like to invite you. I mean, if anyone from service provider want to join us, is a free membership, and is a good platform to brainstorm the new technology parameters. The white papers we already issue on our WBBA website. You can Google the name, and you can free download these white papers that already published, and then they already talked. And the Mobile World Congress, I mean, 1 month back, they already talk about with the last large forum. And another white paper that I'm going, I mean, in a process of writing, probably tomorrow I'm finalize that one, is cloud network convergence. So cloud network convergence, what I presented in my session, what is the next step of the cloud network convergence? How we can do the integrated IP barrier network and optical network ready for the cloud convergence. Why network is a foundation for all the clouds, and how the network can move up with the cloud. So this white paper will also be free to download later on, and I'm going to doing the webinar as well. So it's a working group 4, and I'm the part of it, so network architecture and technology. So we are writing that one and release. So I can finish in 1 minute. So that's one of the thing. The purpose for that one is collective voice from the industry. So many European service providers are a part of it. Business opportunities to tap the revenue or the business opportunities from enterprise and the home customers in industry leadership, or the thought opinion pieces we are writing together for industry. So we are hoping that we are going towards some stage like we make it as a standard for the IP industry. So that's some of the suggestions. And if you want to join, you can email to my colleague based in UK, Mark Oliver, and he can do the registrations. It's free of cost, but it's a good opportunity to join and talk. The last slide for the key messages very quickly, because we have 2 seconds left. B2B will be a new spin-offs, as I mentioned in the beginning. So incremental revenue can only ensure through B2B business now. B2C is good, but is not the big market anymore. Digital economy need integrated IP network upgradation and modernization. And last is a WBBA, that how they can unleash the value of the IP networks as a standard or as a joint working group. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, or during the cocktail. I'm happy to interact with you. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Samir, for giving us a clear vision of a Network 2025, in which service providers are no longer just communication service provider, but digital service provider. And simple IP is not enough. We need intelligent IP, which come with it, deterministic, etc. So after network vision, the natural topic next is network architecture, and it will be delivered by Mr. Gu Rui, Vice President of Product Management, in charge of all the product strategy, planning, roadmap. Mr. Gu Rui have a long history of working with global operators, including 5 years in Europe. So he's going to give us the network architecture from his first-hand experience. Please welcome Mr. Gu Rui.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Xiao. So as Dr. Xiao mentioned, I used to work in Europe for 5 years. So I saw a lot of old friends here from telecom Serbia, from the Bulgaria, Welcome, and also the Broadnet Norway and Turkcell customer. So warmly welcome you again from the Europe, from Africa, from Asia Pacific and Latin American customer. So actually, last time I have been here was 4 years ago, 2019. So the time's flying and the world changed a lot. And my job and my team's job is to define the product and plan the future. So when we are talking about the future, I think everybody have the question in your mind. So what kind of network is future-oriented, right? So if we want to answer this question, we must first have some insight into the industry. So without a doubt that the digitalization is the main thing towards 2030. So I think a lot of guys are talking about the digital transformation. I think ambitious strategy have been launched worldwide. So in EU, the significant investment was committed to promote the digital transformation. The same thing happened in Asia Pacific. Actually, in China, we announced to accelerate the digital development and building the digital China. And also in ASEAN and the Africa also have committed the corresponding plan to support the digital program. And on the other hand, we can see that the enterprise have very strong requirement for the digital transformation. So according to the third-party statistic, the enterprise IT system, I think more than 90% migrate to the multi-cloud. And also more than 60% business need management services. And to provide the digital services, we think the service provider plays a key role. Since you are the main force. You are the main force for the infrastructure construction. So we can see here a lot of top operators already took actions. So in China Telecom, they continues to promote the cloud and the network synergy strategy to provide the one-stop services. And for the China Mobile, they continue to promote the 5G, they call it the 5G Plus strategy, aiming to build the ubiquitous the information infrastructure based on both connectivity and also the computing power. And we can see that Vodafone and Singtel already achieved significant revenue growth through these managed services. And towards the digital transformation, we think that also the transformation should be happened with the service provider. The first one is transform the role from the traditional the internet service provider to manage the service provider. And then the second things to expand your business from just provide the traditional, the one connectivity services to the LAN, I mean the campus services, the data center services, and also the security things to provide the one-stop services together and evolve your portfolio continuously. And the third one is to penetrate into various vertical industry. For example, the public sector, the finance, the transportation, the energy, all of the vertical industries, especially from the traditional the office scenario into the production scenarios. And we think that for the digital, to provide the digital services, the service provider, you have the unique advantages. The first one is that you have very good the foundation in terms of network coverage, including both the wired network and also the wireless network. And the second thing is you have the abundant, especially for the edge equipment room, that you can provide the value-added service close to the subscriber. And the last but not least, you have very, very good the staff and the capability to explore the new business. But there are a lot of challenges we must to face. The first one is the service is changing very, very fast. But the network, it's always take a long time to make the network get ready. So also, according to the third party's report, that the long service provisioning time is the top pain point to provide, especially for the B2B services. So this will affect the development of a new service, definitely. So how can the network adapt to this change? And the second thing is, according to the Telemanagement Forum's report, there are 43% operators are lack of automation capabilities. So this situation is getting even worse when we are talking about the virtualization, especially for some container environment. Here is an example. So, for the ICBC, the top one bank in China, there are more than 5,000 applications, but more than 75% of time are consumed to identify the relationship between the application, the component, and the network. So it's really a very, very tough job for the service adjustment and for the troubleshooting. And the last but not least, we have seen a lot of enterprise already utilize diversified the computing power. So different applications require different service level agreements. For example, the manufacturing execution system are sensitive to latency. And the high performance computing, the application are sensitive to packet loss. And also the hot topic, the artificial intelligence, the big data set require for large bandwidth, definitely. So how the network to meet this different service level agreement requirements? This also the challenges. So towards future, we think as an infrastructure, the network should provide the unified the design, the principle, to cope with the uncertain future and support the service development continuously. So in our opinion, we think there are 4 unification things. The first one, to adopt the unified the platform. I mean the all-in-one the platform for comprehensive service bearing to save the cost. And the second thing is to adopt the unified protocol, especially for the SRv6, IPv6 plus things, from the campus network, the WAN network, and to the data center network to achieve the one-stop to the cloud, to make the connection running a more agile approach. And then the third thing is to adopt the unified model-driven the API, I mean the machine-to-machine, the interface, to achieve the fast service provisioning and adjustment. And the last but not least, the unified management, control, and the analysis system to achieve one-stop services. So for this targeted network architecture, we think there are 4 major characteristics: the ultra broadband, the full service carrying, the highly automation, and one-stop service. So let's step a little further into each of them. So the first one, as also my colleague mentioned, that's the bandwidth is the basis for the development of new digital services. We know that the immersive, the XR services, and a lot of the holographic type of communication are all bandwidth consuming the applications. And also for the artificial intelligence, no matter the big training data and also the giant, the model parameter, the transmission require for large bandwidth. So there are a continuous demand for large bandwidth. So for the access part, this year we will introduce the Wi-Fi 7 technologies to provide the 30 gigabit per second for the access part. And we think, for our thing, that we think we are not only to provide the, the basics, the coverage, but also we need to guarantee the quality. So we will introduce innovative, the solution, we call it the distributed AP solution. So that means one AP can be used to coverage one building to achieve the zero roaming and the zero packet loss, to guarantee the quality for not only for the office scenario, but also for the production scenario. And for the aggregation and the core network, we think it's time to think about to evolve from 100 gig port to 400 gig port and even to 800 gig port. So the platform you choose is very important. So for Huawei, we provide our flagship the router series, the NE8000, which adopts the orthogonal architecture, which can support the evolving from 100G to 400G and till 800G smoothly to protect your investment and can meet the requirement for the next 15 years. And for the data center network, besides the large capacity, we are aiming to provide the extremely low latency from a microsecond level to a nanosecond level to unleash the power, the computing things completely. And besides the large capacity, we think the highly efficiency and also the SLA assurance is quite important. So here, traditionally, we always build different network for different services. But as the service are growing very fast, especially when you are entering the vertical industry, we firmly suggest to use one network for comprehensive service bearing. That means use the all-in-one, the unified, the platform. So this is quite important, not only to simplify the network, the planning, the design, the operation, and the maintenance, but also is the key point to set up the unified network modeling. And this also is quite important to set up the foundation for the network automation things. And another thing is, the network equipment in different layers is only differ in terms of the capacity, but should have the same functionalities. This kind of principle has already been widely recognized by a lot of big operators. And another thing is, in order to guarantee different service level agreements, we suggest to introduce the innovative network slicing technology to guarantee the latency, to enable more the new value-added services. And we all know that the cloud is the key, and the network is the foundation. The cloud and the network convergence to promote the development of digital services. But again, we all know that when we deploy a new application on the cloud, it's quite fast. But when we are talking about the network, the configuration, the adjustment is relatively slow. So how to make the network catch up the rhythm of the cloud? So the next generation, the protocol, we call it the segment routing basics, is quite important, since it's a de facto the SDN enabling technology. And from the standard point of view, we think the SRv6 already getting mature. My colleague will mention this later. And we already help our customer, no matter the service provider and also some top enterprise, to deploy 160 SRv6 network worldwide. A lot of top operators have deployed the SRv6 network or have the plan to deploy the SRv6. And we are aiming to promote the industry, for Huawei and Cisco, we conducted, and with the ENTC, we conducted a lot of interoperability tests to make this technology mature. And with SRv6, actually last year, we introduced an innovative solution. We call it the network digital map. So this kind of solution, you can just think is holographic, the network visualization solution. From the physical network, for the logical network, the service, and till the application. From different view, we can set up the correlationship between this different layer of information for the easy of maintenance and operation. And another thing, we also introduced the artificial intelligence-based technology. For example, the control plane and the data plane, the verification, the technology to provide, we call this the error-free provisioning to achieve the real non-stop services. And another thing is, we integrate a very powerful path computation element into this network digital map to realize the global optimization for up to 300,000 network engine and also 1 million tunnel for the whole network optimization things. And for a long time, we think the private line is a very good business for the service provider. So we are thinking about how to, expand your business through the private line plus X. So what is X stand for? There are 4 aspects. The first one is plus the managed LAN and the wireless LAN. Through the LAN and the WAN convergence, and even convergence with some Internet of Things to enable some new business, expand your business from the WAN network to the campus side, to entering various vertical industry. And another is plus the managed WAN solution, set up the cloud native and multi-tenant POP to enable the value-added services. And the third thing is plus the managed security. That means utilize the cloud-based advanced security services, and also make the network and the security collaboration to improve the efficiency and increase the revenue for the service provider. And the last but not least, plus managed data center network to introduce, we call it the hyper-converged network for not only the general purpose computing, but also with the artificial intelligence, the high performance computing, and also the storage network together to unleash the computing power completely. And you know, the power consumption is also the top concern when we are talking about the business development. You know, for Huawei, we pay much attention in the very beginning when we entering this industry. You know, we want to construct the green network in a systematic way. So we have set up the 3 layers about the green network. The first one, the green device. We are trying to reduce the power consumption as much as possible for each component in our devices. And another thing for the network layer, we already implement, we call it TIDAL, the aware scheduling algorithm to optimize the whole network's power consumption. And on the operation layer, we can show the carbon emission for each tenant and for the one-click optimization for the whole network, the power consumption. So in a short summary, so for Huawei, we are aiming to provide the future-oriented intelligent IP network. So again, we think there are 4 major characteristics: the ultra broadband, the full service carrying, the highly automation, and the one-stop services. Through all of these efforts, we hope to help operator to accelerate the development of new scenario, new services, and a new business model to seize the digital transformation opportunities in the future. Okay, this is all my part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gu Zhui, for giving us a clear picture of target network architecture in which there's the integrated network with full service carrying and characterized by unified platform, unified protocol, unified API, and also unified management. Given the vision and network architecture, our next speaker will be Mr. Li Zhengbing, or better known in the industry as Robin Li, who is the Chief Protocol Expert of Huawei and also a former Internet Architecture Board member of IETF. We all know that SRv6 is a very big movement in the industry. You know, here in the MPLS Congress, everybody is talking about SRv6. And Robin is not only the SRv6 man of Huawei. If we have to give credit to only 3 persons in the industry about SRv6, it becomes such a big momentum. Robin is definitely one of the 3 persons in the industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robin to talk about.
Okay, hello everyone. So it's nice to meet you again in the Paris. In fact, the last year I came here for the IP Gala, but at that time the COVID-19 is not passed, is a little scared. But now I feel very free. I'm very happy to meet all the friends here. So I would like to give my presentation, promote IP protocol innovation, and accelerate SRv6 deployment. In fact, my Chinese name is Zhenmin Li, and you can call my English name Robin. Maybe this is easy for your pronunciation. Okay. Okay. So here this is the. In fact, in the process of promote SRv6, we have a deep dive thinking about this the history of IP evolution. In fact, the most important rule about the IP evolution is application drive the change of IP network architecture. So in fact, from here we can see the history of the development of the application. In fact, this the 1990s, the most important application is the internet application, such as email, HTTP. So this is the development of IPv4 technologies. So then later, that's following the almost 20 years, the most important the change is the traditional telecommunication networks to the IP-based networks. So that's the ATM and also the frame relay, TDM, SDH networks are replaced by the MPLS-based networks. So and also the most important application is the triple play. That means the networks not only to bear this data network service, but also this is the audio and this is the video, this is the services. And so then later, so that we also say that cloud is coming. So that is also changed a lot. Even until today, is still not, I think the trend is not ending. At the same time, that is also have a huge number of the new applications are emerging, such as the AI services, and also the high performance computing services, and also the XR, that means AR, VR, and also the IoT. So this the new services is also driving the new technologies, and also this make a great change about the network architecture. So in the summary, we think the key requirement of the new technologies is the first one is the network connectivity, because we know that because of the computing, application process will be everywhere. So that means our IP connection must be set up easily to satisfy the requirement to set up the network connectivity. And the second one, because this new services has much strict SLA requirement or some other requirements on the network. So that means that the network must be extended flexibly to satisfy this requirement. So this means that we call it as a network programming. So that means the data plane can be easily be extended to satisfy this new requirement. And the third one, I think this is called the application-aware network. We think that the integration of application and network will be a very important technical trend. Because you know that this is just like the change of this computing chipset. Because we know that 30 years ago, we have this general purpose computing chipset. So we have the CPU. But today, we know that we have all kinds of the dedicated the computing chipset, like the GPU, TPU, or the DPU, etc. Similarly, because we have the huge number of the new applications, so and also we know that the general purpose of the network service is almost mature. We have the VPN TE fast reroute. This already developed for the 20 or 30 years. So now that we think for the future, that's important for our network to provide the application-specific services and to improve the value of our network continuously. Okay. And in fact, at this time, so that's I think that's the network technologies. We traditionally MPRs has this gained much access, but for this the new requirement, we can say that the MPRs technologies even facing the challenges. And here, this is a comparison between the MPRs and the SRv6. So that's also show the advantage of the SRv6. So the first one, we know that MPRs is successful, but MPR signaling is still complex. And also is very challenging to set up the inter-domain network connections, because we know that for set up the multiple domain IP connections, we must to introduce the complex, the inter-AS MPRs, inter-AS VPN technologies. We have the option A, option B, option C. So that's this is more complex. But with the SRv6, because the SRv6 is compatible with the IPv6, so it can directly take use of the IP reachability to set up the IP connection. So that is very easy. That means it need not the because we already have the IP this reachability, is not necessary to set up the actual the MPR's reachability. So that's can simplify the setup of these IP connections. Second one, and also we can see this MPRs, this also has the fixed packet header. So it also has for these fixed fields. But we know that for the SRv6, it has the enough extension space. It has the segment list, and also this 128 bits can be sectioned. And also, for the SRv6, it can also carry the option TLV in the data plane. So this means the SRv6 has more programming space for the extension and to satisfy the requirement for the new applications in the data plane. And this is the last one. I think that's because of the IPv6 not only has the routing header used for the SRv6, it also has the hop-by-hop extend header, destination option header. So it can be extended to carry this application information and also to implement the purpose of integrate network and application. So from this point of view, so we can say SRv6 has much more advantage comparing with the MPRs to satisfy the requirement. And also the SRv6 is more future-proof. And also this is the most important behind this the advantage is the development of this the hardware capability and software capability. Because you know that the 30 years ago, because the hardware capability is very limited, it's very difficult to take the complex technologies to extend the network functionality. So we must to adopt the hardware-friendly design to satisfy the extension requirement. So we have the MPRs, so that use the MPRs and the fixed packet header side and the fixed fields for the MPRs encapsulation to satisfy the network extension requirement, so that we support the new services such as the VPN, traffic engineering, and faster reroute. But in the new era, because of the breakthrough of this the hardware capability, and also this the development of the capability of the programming chipset, so that means even we take the IPv6 extension header, that means the packet header is variable. So we can also change this idea, this forwarding performance, so that we can take use of the IPv6 extensibility to satisfy the new requirement for the new applications. So I think this is also a strong the technical base to support the extension of the IPv6 and also that's the SRv6 in the new era. Okay. And in fact, this is the 5 years ago when we began to promote SRv6 in the industry. We always face this questions And these questions is tortured us many times by the different operators. So that's the first, this is the question that is the maturity of the standardization. But after these 5 years, we can see that we already have the 5 RC. In fact, now that is already the 6 RC because just weeks ago, so that the SRv6 ISS is already also published as the RC. So that we already have this the formal standards published for the SRv6, and also other protocol extension for the SRv6 is stable for the more than 2 years, so that we'll publish as RC. That is quickly this year or in the coming year. And the second, this is the important question, that is the that for the SRv6, that means there's no the multi-vendors implementation. So after 5 years, we can see this the mainstream the vendors that Huawei, Cisco, Juniper, and Nokia. Now that's all this can support the SRv6. And not only this the device vendors, but also the chipset vendors and also the test vendors can also support the SRv6. So that's, and also I think that's the most important, that is the role of the ENTC, that is continually test the SRv6 interoperability in the past 5 years. So I also believe that the custom will take this, the latest, the progress of the SRv6 interoperability. So I think this in the summary from this page, we can say that the SRv6 standardization work is mature. And also there's this the multi-vendors implementation. So that's the industry is also mature. So this can support the SRv6 larger scale deployment in the IP network. And in fact, this is the third important question proposed 5 years ago. That is, there's no the actual deployment in the existing network. So in fact, after 5 years, and also because of the maturity of this the SRv6 standardization, and also that's the commercial delivery of the SRv6 product, the process of the deployment SRv6 is accelerating. So, and also this, we can say this after 4 years. So now we can say that already has more than 160 deployment all over the world. So we think, and also in this the process, so that we accumulate a lot of experience about deployment of SRv6. So, and also this will be helpful for the deployment as a reference for the deployment of the following operators. And in fact, 3 years ago, I led the team to write the book, SRv6 Network Programming. The book is to introduce the technical principle of SRv6. And after 3 years, so because of the deployment all over the world, we accumulate the experience with the team to write another book, the definitive deployment SRv6, and also is to provide the reference for the industry. I think that sample book is here, so that is you can take it as a reference. So and hope that in the future there's more deployments all over the world. Okay, and in fact after this 5 years, so that's the 3 important questions almost solved. But in the past 1 or 2 years, we encounter some of these new challenges. The first one, that is the SRv6 deployment in the multi-vendors network environment. In fact, in the past deployment, so that's most SRv6 deployment is in the network environment, single vendor. But we know that many existing network, there are multi-vendors the devices, so SRv6 must be deployed in the multi-vendors network environment. So in fact, this one is also solved. So that's is here, this example. So this is the operator use SRv6 for the 5G transport. And also in this network, there's the multi-vendors the devices. So the interoperability test has been done successfully, and the SRv6 has been deployed in the multi-vendors environment. Okay. And the second important question is the SRv6 compression solutions, because we know that SRv6 has much advantages, but it also has the challenge is the bigger packet header size comparing with the MPLS header. So that's the industry thinks is very important to provide solutions to compress the SRv6 packet header. And in fact, the work began very early in the industry, almost 4 years ago. Different vendors proposed different solutions in the IETF, and also the solutions were different from each other. And also the representatives of operators in the IETF express their requirement. We only need a single solution, so that we hope that all these solutions can be converged to the single solution. So in the IETF Spring Working Group, so that's the SRv6 compression design team was set up. So that's the purpose of the design. The purpose of the design team is to converge these SRv6 compression solutions to the single solution. And after this, the 2 years of work, so that's the solutions are converged. So this the new solution is called CSID. That means compressed segment ID. In fact, this solution is based on the Huawei's the GSID solution and the Cisco's the MicroSID solution, because the two solutions has a common technical principle and has different application scenarios. So based on the two solutions, that is converged to a single solution, the CSID solution. And after that work, we can see that the converged solution, the draft for the converged solution is proposed and adopted by the working group. So that's we can see there's multi-vendors and multiple operators are listed in the co-author list. And also now that this is already, in fact, this is the first version, but just weeks before, so that's in IETF, after update, we already have this the fourth version. So that's the solution is more mature, and also it will be adopted and will be published to the RC. Okay. And in fact, here I will not introduce the details. I just told you that for the CSID solutions, those is a single solution, but because it has different scenarios, so it has different variants. In fact, it has 3 variants. The first one is called the next flavor. So this is the Cisco's, originally is the Cisco the MicroSID solution. And the second one, so this is the replace flavor, CSID. So this is the Huawei's the GSID solution. And in fact, the MicroSID solution's advantage and the GSID, this is the solution's advantage can be combined together. So there's the third flavor is called the next and replace. So this is the third one. So after that, so we, in fact, Huawei have implemented all the 3 flavors. So that has the different the application scenarios, so that it can satisfy all this the requirement. Okay, and also this the, in fact, so I think this after this the SRv6 compression solution, this the issue is solved. So we already have this the commercial deployment. So this is the operators. So in fact, in their network, so the service path is very long. So that's on average it has 17 hops. That means the maximum of the hops will be more than 20 hops. So that means the SRv6 the packet header is huge. But because we use that's the SRv6 compression, so that it can be deployed the SRv6 in the network to achieve this purpose of the traffic optimization. So after that, so that is the network bandwidth usage ratio are improved. So this is also that is the second question. So we think is solved. So that is the SRv6 compression solution. In fact, after that, we also had this third new problems. So that means in the multi-vendors network environment, we also need the SRv6 compression deployment. So that means not only the classical SRv6 solutions deployed in the multi-vendors deployment, but also the SRv6 compression solutions can be deployed in the multi-vendors network environment. So in fact, this 2 months ago, so that's in the Indonesia, so that's operators LH already finished the first the macro said this is the SRv6 compression solution interoperability test. And also I believe that the customer will take this the latest information about the SRv6 compression interoperability test by the ENTC. I think this will be benefit to solve this the issue to deploy the SRv6 compression solutions in the multi-vendors network. Okay, so I think that in fact in the beginning, so that we know that the SRv6 in fact is just the starting point for the future. So in fact, so that is to satisfy the requirement for the traffic steering. But in fact, the IPv6, because of the SRv6, IPv6 the data plane are introduced in the network. IPv6 extension can be used to support the new services. So that we have this the network slicing, we have the in situ telemetry, and we also can provide the stateless multicast solution. And also we provide the deterministic IP network service take using of the IPv6 extension. In my opinion, for some of these the new features based on the IPv6 data plane is also mature. And in fact, I led the team to finish this new book, that's the IPv6 network slicing. We believe that the IP network slicing will also be another new, a very important application, network application based on the IPv6. So I think this can also be used as a reference. Okay. So this is the last page. I think this is, in fact, is a demo case. In fact, I talk about that's the integration of the application. Integrate application and the network will be our future because we already, many operators already, that's the face the bottleneck of the transport network. We must improve the value of our network continuously. So we think that combine the application and the network will be a possible way to satisfy this the requirement. So here, so in fact, we have this the application aware IPv6 networking work, and we already had to finish this the demo cases, and that is based on this in the cloud and also this terminal. So this we have this the different the operating system and take use of them to support the IPv6 enhanced innovation and to carry this application information by the IPv6. So that's because this is the use cases is the video conference, because we know that we must to guarantee this is the user experience of the very important video conference. So from here, so that's this terminal and this cloud can carry this the application ID for this the very important video conference, so that enter into this network, so that the network can take use this the SRv6 path or the network slicing to guarantee the SLA, and also use the in situ telemetry to monitoring the user experience. So we can see from here That's the terminal, cloud, and this the network are combined together with IPv6. And also we think that the future is already emerging. So we think that in the future, that's based on the integration of application and network, we can see the future to improve the value of a transport network continuously. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thanks all. Okay.
Thank you, Robin, for a passionate presentation about SRv6, bringing us the latest status of SRv6 standardization and deployment. As Robin alluded, you know, in SRv6, one of the issues that people really care is the multi-vendor interoperability. Our next speaker will be Carsten Rosenhofer. I know who is the CEO of EANTC, or European Advanced Network Testing Center. I know Carsten for a long time, almost 20 years, and I always admire Carsten. Over the years, Carsten not only grow EANTC bigger and bigger and become an important institution of our IP industry, he also managed to become more and more handsome and charismatic. So every time I meet Carsten, I always say that, Carsten, you look like a noble man. So really, Carsten is like good wine. You know, good wine don't lose value over time. It, you know, become very expensive wine over time. So Carsten, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks very much for the kind introduction. And how can I even go to stage after this introduction? Anyway, so I'm very happy to be here. And it's, I think, the 20th anniversary for me this year. After the pandemic, I'm also very happy to be here with a full auditorium, with all the vendors being here on site and so on. So it's my pleasure to present to you the latest status of SRv6 interoperability. And just a very brief primer of EANTC. We're an independent test lab, so we're not affiliated with Huawei, other than that Huawei is one of our customers, as almost all of the vendors, and we're also doing service-provider POCs and enterprise testing. So what were the goals of this year's interoperability event? Of course, it spanned way beyond SRv6. We have actually covered SDN, segment routing, SRv6, of course, also clock synchronization, all of the aspects that are needed for today's use cases, major use cases. On one hand, the cloud and enterprise data center services and interconnection. And on the other hand, the 5G front haul, mid haul, and backhaul transport. So these are two of the major service provider use case scenarios which are driving the growth of the network. Of course, as the previous speakers have said, the digital transformation and the expansion of services and reach of the service providers are making all of these requirements much more challenging and much more advanced over time. So in the 20 years that we've been here and that we've run interoperability events at the upper side, MPLS SDN World Congress here in Paris, we have seen, of course, that the technologies have become more and more advanced. I think that's the nature of things, right? As humans, we always create something, and then we build on top of that, and we build on top of that. So one of the miracles that this industry has managed is to actually go from MPLS to SDN to remove some of the complexity to make the network solution future-proof without completely throwing things away, thanks to the great effort of the standardization people, including Robin and others in the industry. And the other miracle that the industry has done is to ever keep the market stable in a multi-vendor environment. And that's, of course, what we're benefiting from. Maybe we've helped a little bit also to keep this market not just becoming like a small number of vendors in the end, but to give service providers a chance always to choose from many, many different vendors. Because I think what we've also seen over the last 20 years, technologies can only survive and thrive and be successful if they are actually supported by multiple vendors. service providers will shy away from technologies that are only supported, maybe even if they're better. Sometimes technologies can be better if they're single vendor, or implementations can be better, but typically operators shy away from choosing these just because there is no alternative and because they never know what the vendor is going to do in the future. So I think that's one of the big successes of the technology and also of SRv6 specifically here in this event. We've actually, oh, sorry, I've always been at the wrong slide. Sorry about that. So we can see here a quick glimpse of the test setup at ENTC Lab. We're currently building it next door, and you will be able to witness things live here as of tomorrow. Of course, in the lab, it looked quite horrible. So this is what the setup looked with these 8 racks here after 2 weeks of cabling with many people doing work there. But we actually had a lot of vendors and a lot of people doing work there. So if you look at the list of participating vendors, there's a broad range of all of the major router vendors, but there are also test tool vendors, of course. There are white box switch vendors. There's even like with Intel, a vendor of network interface cards participating, and there are also vendors of clock synchronization solutions. If we look at the technology coverage, it was quite balanced. So EVPN testing took a lot of the time and the effort. The SDN testing took a smaller part this time because PCE and management aspects were not the major focus for most vendors this time. Clocking has grown again and keeps stable over time because of the 5G use cases where clock synchronization is of utmost importance. And one of the biggest topics, as you can see on the right-hand side, is segment routing. So SR-MPLS is still taking more of the time and the test results, but SRv6 is coming up quickly and will probably overtake within the next 1 or 2 years. Overall, we keep calling this an event or a showcase, but in fact it's a rather major project that has grown into. We've taken 5 months of preparation. There were 80 participants from the vendors on site, and we have this year gathered more than 1,200 test results in 2 weeks. So you can imagine it's been a very intense time in the lab, but it's also like a time away from competition. It's an event where vendor engineers and often quite senior engineers are happily working together in order to advance the technology, in order to explore what's possible with multiple vendors, because that's an opportunity to see successes and also to overcome failures before they see each other again in service provider competitive POCs, where sometimes they need to work together because, of course, nobody's doing greenfield deployments anymore. So some impressions from the hot staging, people doing a lot of work and everybody being at our lab just 6 weeks ago. Let me just provide a very brief introduction into SRv6 from our point of view. Of course, I don't want to repeat what others have said before. The main thing is that the source node calculates the path through the network with a list of segments, and these segments are conveyed as the segment IDs, as Robin has explained extensively. We have tested these aspects, of course. We've tested the network programming capabilities, and we've also tested that seamless transport networks are enabled. I think that's an aspect that cannot be underestimated. Robin said in the beginning, like in earlier days, we used to have these boundary systems, these stitching systems, you know, where paths from MPLS were taken into VXLAN, path from you know, different aspects, different transport solutions were stitched together, and that's no longer needed with SRv6. So actually that saved us at ENTC a lot of testing time, because these interworking scenarios were always quite time consuming to test, and it's great, of course, that they're going away with SRv6. So that's that somehow. Okay. Did I? Okay, here we go. Sorry. So But the most important part is that we've been growing not only into the depth of the technology, focusing more and more advanced test cases, but we've also, excuse me, we've also grown horizontally by increasing the number of vendors participating. This is actually our sixth time that we test SRv6. Huawei has participated since 2019. Continuously, and this time we've had 8 router vendors. I haven't shown here the test tool vendors because they are in a different category. So in total there were 10 vendors participating with the test tool emulators as well, but 8 of them were router vendors. And as you can see, the support in the industry is really growing. Of course, this is just a list of logos. So behind these logos are different stages of deployment. So the top ones that have participated many times, Huawei, Cisco, Arcus, Nokia, Juniper, they are very advanced and they participated in almost all of the test cases. The ones below have participated for the first time, or the first time this year. And of course, they're still in the basics. So our role at ENTC is to help newcomers to adopt the technology, to do the basic testing, and also to help advanced vendors with a bigger history to go into new areas. So what have we covered? In total, we've covered 4 test areas. Of course, the basics, just to reassure ourselves, to find a baseline and to allow the newcomers to explore the multi-vendor interoperability for the first time. That's, of course, the BGP global routing table to test if all of the SRv6 information is injected into BGP correctly. And this time, one of the major things was really the microSID, the shortened segment ID. And the segment ID microSID is really important to grow the acceptance of the technology, because that was a concern of many to have like these super long SRv6 segments, and they're shrunk to just 2 bytes, and also to improve the efficiency of the technology. So we ran almost all of the basic tests and the advanced tests, both with microSIDs and with full SIDs as well. Because maybe microSIDs are not adopted by everybody, we just wanted to make sure that the full segment IDs, the traditional ones, are also supported. We also tested the services over SRv6, of course, and we tested the resiliency in 2 aspects, and we tested constraint-based routing. All of these test cases were also carried out with other vendors and other topologies in SR-MPLS and SR-VXLAN to some extent, but in SRv6 they had the biggest coverage end-to-end. So if you look at the testbed information, the testbed topology, here the green part in the center right is the SRv6 topology. The other parts are different other logical topologies. In the top left, VXLAN, in the center left, MPLS, and then in the bottom left, that's the clocking area. In the top right, segment routing MPLS. So you can see there were many test combinations. This is just a logical topology. It doesn't imply any special role of the devices here, just showing the participants. And on the very top of the diagram, you can also see the controllers and management entities which controlled some of the devices in the network as well. We didn't put so much effort into management interoperability testing, as you can tell from the previous slide. The reason is that the multi-vendor interoperability of NetConf, of PCE, has been slowing down a little bit. The technology keeps advancing. Single vendors are really advancing their automation capabilities a lot, but in multi-vendor environments it's difficult to test these because the testing is most often an integration where vendor A takes the proprietary Yang model of vendor B and integrates it. And that's not in our main intent. So we wanted to focus on vendor neutral, like IETF or open config based Yang models, and those were a little bit limited, so we didn't see so much advancement. Okay, so we are going to focus on the SRv6 part for the rest of the presentation. And first and foremost, of course, we tested the SRv6 overlay services. These are the so-called basics. We tested the L3, layer 3 VPNs over SRv6, both with the microSIDs and the full SIDs. And this worked very well with all of the 7 router implementations that interoperated here. So before I said we had 8 vendors participating in the test, so you see not everybody supports everything from the newcomers, but that's fine, and we didn't see any major problems. We saw just 1 or 2 glitches in the test execution, and usually what happens is that the vendors are quickly informing their development groups, and they're even providing new builds the next day or the next week so that we can test that things are successfully completed in the end. We also tested the EVPN parts, and in EVPN the testing is usually very diverse because there are so many configuration options. I think that's great, and EVPN is very much ready for any kind of deployment scenario for operators, but that also increases the sheer number of test combinations. Just on the escalator up, one vendor told me, hey, we wanted to test another 5 EVPN scenarios, and I said, well guys, we already have 1,200 results in 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we couldn't do more, but you can see there are not only the virtual private line services, but there are also IP routed services over EVPN, and there are even LAN services like multi-point services over EVPN that were tested. So on the more advanced scenarios, the flex algo locators were tested. So you know, in a complex network, it's important not only to use the shortest path and just to do basic best effort routing, but to have all of the differentiated services enabled that are needed for the more complex use case requirements from different customers. And here we summarized 2 topics. We summarized the flexible algorithm that enables these multi-plane networks. So you can see 2 flex algos here. The yellow background is latency constraint-based domain. And the other routers that don't have this yellow background are just a best effort domain. So the challenge of the network is to find a correct path that satisfies the latency requirements. And at the same time, we also created 2 ISIS domains with route summarization. Because with a growing network, the problem is always that smaller routers at the edge are having some trouble to calculate routes because they need to maintain the full BGP routing table, and that's still a challenge for smaller routers these days. So route summarization just reduces many long prefix routes with one shorter prefix route for the access services. So we tested this, and we verified that the summarized locators were correctly implemented in FlexAlgo, and that the ingress was able to correctly choose the right path over these 2 ISIS domains. So that's one of the more advanced test cases, and of course here on the right hand side in the diagram you only see an example. There were multiple topologies tested, and I can only refer you to the full detailed report for all of the choices of the different details. So another aspect that we tested was the construction of an explicit path where the segment ID list is really defining the exact path that the SRv6 flow should take. And of course this path is absolutely meaningless, it's just for show. And here the path, the segment ID list had 4 elements, and it started from the top right on the Cisco side. It went to Arcos, and then it went to Nokia, and then it went to Cisco again, and so on and so on. So this shows that the traffic engineering policies with 4 segment IDs are supported, with microsits as well, which of course is the major effort benefit now, because we don't have 4 16-byte addresses anymore. We only have 4 2-byte microsits in this packet. And that in a multi-vendor scenario, these segment list paths are actually supported well. So second last aspect, because I'm running out of time, high availability has always been a major test area, because nobody is going to deploy a network that doesn't have failover capabilities. In a high availability scenario, we validated topology independent loop-free alternate, TILFA again. Now, of course, because it's already 2023 with all of the advanced features, especially the microloop avoidance, which could happen for a short time in the TILFA recovery or failover scenario. Today, these microloops are avoided. And also, we tested these with local shared route link groups. And you can see this red circle up there, which says if one of the link fails, don't fail over to the other one because it's in the same risk group, and instead fail over to the yellow path. That's a shared risk link group. We tested also that with microsids, so you can see the vendors really packed a lot of aspects of testing into these very complex end-to-end test scenarios. And again, on the right-hand side, the diagram that's visible there is only a sample. In this example, Cisco took the main role of the point of local repair, the PLR, but also the other router vendors, Nokia, Huawei, Arcus, and Juniper, also took the same role in other instances of this test case. What's really great to see, it's not a trivial scenario here. There are multiple routers involved. The failover time is between 2 up to 33 milliseconds. So even in the worst case, I think Huawei was not the worst, it was like in the single-digit area. But even in the worst case, the failover time is still very, very good. And that shows the maturity of the whole industry and of the different solutions that are available today. So we also tested basic SRv6 operations, OEM again, with ping and traceroute. We've done that many times before, so why do it again? Of course, because of the microsid. So on the right-hand side, you see that already multiple vendors are supporting ping and traceroute, also with microsids, and that's very important to do basic troubleshooting, as we all know who have operated networks before. So what's the conclusion? We have had 8 router vendors participate in the SRv6 testing. It was, I would say, the most successful ones so far. We didn't see any major hiccups. We didn't see any fundamental issues in understanding. All of the vendors support these essential services, most of them with microsids already, actually 5 of them. And we were able to test these advanced functionalities that are needed for today's or the future networks, also with SRv6. So there is no feature gap anymore in the vendors' implementations between more traditional SR-MPLS and the more advanced SRv6. So the popularity and readiness of SRv6 increased again, which is great. Of course, we will continue testing it. There are many more things to test in the future. But for now, I'd like to refer you for more details to the test report. The test report has actually 64 pages this time. We planned to do 30 pages, but no way, we just had so many results. So of course, it's a really detailed test report, and the goal is it's not necessarily the best bedtime lecture, to be honest, but it's supposed to even give you all of the details transparently of all of the test cases that we executed. We have paper copies, and as of tomorrow morning, it should also be available online on our website, entc.de. Okay, so thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thank you, Carsten, for a very detailed and vivid picture of the interoperability status of SRv6. The picture that in 2018, there's only one vendor, and in 2023, there are 8 vendors plus 2 test vendors, is very telling. So with SRv6 discussed, our next topic is going to be digital map and network automation by Mr. Wu Qing. Qing is the network automation architect of Huawei and a member of the Internet Architecture Board. All of these are well known. But what's not so well known is that Qing is also the co-author of 52 IETF RFCs. 52, can you imagine that? I have been co-author of 4 RFC, and I'm already very proud. And Qing is 52, and really this means that he has a lot of insight on network automation. Please welcome Qing.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Wu Qing, and thanks Dr. Xiao actually kind introduction. So, and actually, I'm very glad to come back to MPL's Congress and to attend this wonderful events in this time. And actually, I remember the last time I attended MPL's RP Gala. Actually, it's 2019, and very excited to come back as a speaker. So the topic I want to share with you is network digital map for network automation transformation. So I want to break down this topic into two parts. The first part, I will introduce where we are and how we get here and what is the challenge faced by network operator regarding network management automation. The second part, I will take Huawei NC product innovation as an example to introduce the best practice of network digital map. So network digital map actually is proposed under the umbrella of autonomous network. So important role played by autonomous network is the help operator to digital transformation, especially when more enterprise application has moved to the cloud. And autonomous network is actually not far from far from us, actually. It is real, actually. It's coming, actually. And I want to convince you, actually, from two perspectives. One is industry perspective, the other is standard perspective. Actually, just in last year, actually, in industry field, we see more and more operators join TMF autonomous network project, and they take autonomous network as strategy and set level 4 goal by 2025. And also in last year, I witnessed a lot of catalyst project centered around the autonomous network, and we see a lot of actually summit, better organized, target to the industry leader, digital players, and help industry player to better understand how to do digital transformation by moving to the path of autonomous network. And in standard field, actually, thanks to the cross SDO coordination effort, actually, many mainstream SDO such as TMF, 3GPP, IETF, and they work together on the autonomous network standards. And we see actually a lot of standards that get published. Autonomous network standards in TMF focus on technology independent and architecture and autonomous level definition, autonomous level evaluation methodology. And autonomous network standards in 3GPP and IETF, they focus on the technology specific architecture and key technology. Take IETF as example, actually, the standard they developer more focus on RP network field, but also can be applied to the optical network field. So we also want to mention actually IETF began to kick off the work to develop network digital twin related standards. Actually, also some key technology has been kicked off, and actually, so what is the autonomous network? How we actually involve, how we get here, actually, where does it come from? And autonomous network really enable network management automation. And it really, replace human machine interface with machine to machine interface and liberate human from repetitive tasks. Repetitive tasks such as self-monitoring, self-diagnosing, healing, and etc. And so let's revisit the history of the autonomous network and go back to the 15 years ago when we began to develop RPTV service, and also VPN service get a lot of popular. But the challenge faced by our operator is the operation cost actually increased dramatically. So to address these challenges, SDN architecture has been proposed, separator forwarding from the control, provide centralized network control. And so this greatly reduce operation cost. So later on, actually, when SD-WAN service and the various lease line service get introduced, actually, network size continue to grow and service became more complex. So the new challenge faced by operator is, the network operator not only they need to know how to define the service, but also they need to figure out how to program the network with various different technology, for example, MPLS technology. To address these challenges, intent-driven network has been proposed, and they actually separate the service definition from service realization, make operator focus on service definition, service innovation, leave the network programmability complexity to the domain controller developed by the vendors. So this greatly reduce the operational cost. So is that all? Actually, we actually enter into the 5G era. People talk a lot about cloud network convergence. Actually, network operators face new challenges, and they actually began the digital transformation connecting to thousands of the vertical and enterprise. So the new challenges they're facing is they need to support billions of the IoT device connectivity. So how to, address these challenges? Actually, the idea is, break down the end-to-end management into the multi-domain network management. So you have single domain self-management, multiple domain coordination. In this area, actually, AI also play a key role. They can provide, intelligent network management. So this can greatly reduce the operation cost, help operator to face the challenge. So what is the technology trend for autonomous network? We see the top 4 trend. The first trend number 1 is the network became more open, became more programmable. This is because we have mature enough control plane technology like BGP, BGPRS, and BMP, and also we have mature network management protocols such as RPFix and telemetry. So this really provide a foundation for third-party network management. And actually, the YANG and also SRv6 actually are 2 enabling technology for network automation. Trend number 2, actually, service definition separated from service realization. Both service definition and service realization can be modeled using network as a service API. And one typical example of network as a service API is L3 SM service model developed by the IETF has already been published at RFC. And we also see actually IETF already published quite a lot of service model work. And trend number 3, and network digitalization. We see a lot of data isolate get breakdown. We can build a comprehensive digital platform. And so typical enabling technologies such as one is large-scale network modeling. The other one is network as a service API. And trend number 4, and network management became more intelligent. Not only we can make a management system become more intelligent and integrate AI, and but also we can make a network infrastructure to be integrated with the AI. So we can have distributed AI, embedded AI. With distributed AI, actually, we can provide better cross-domain coordination. So what is the standardized direction and path for autonomous network? So actually, TMF already provide a good answer. They define the autonomous level definition. They break down autonomous level into the 6 level, from level 0 to level 5. And actually, more and more operators, they, especially in China, top 3 operators, they already, pass through autonomous level network level benchmark test. Actually, they claim they can support a level 3, and this, need to thanks to the, major enough control plane technology like BGP, BMP, and telemetry protocol. But when we're moving from level 3 to level 4, actually, you need to further enhance, awareness, but also you need to, update, analysis decision capability. So to enhance the analysis and the decision, you can rely on the network digital map or digital twin network. And for further enhance awareness, you can actually introduce, network digital map API or model, and they can provide such as path quality API and flow statics API and incident management API, etc. So how we can, deal with the challenge faced by the operator to really build the network digital map, or how do we, make a network operator to, get the level 4 of autonomous network. So we think, there's many challenges. I want to, highlight, top 3 challenges. The challenge number 1 is, bad network visibility. Because the network operator, not only they deal with CT network, but also IT network. In the IT field, actually, there's a lot of IT management tools they build as a silo, like interoperability. And another challenge is it's very hard to find automation tool to provide end-to-end service management. And besides the network management tools, but also you need to consider network analytics. You need to correlate multiple type of data to locate the root cause. Still, this is very challenging. For example, how to establish a relationship between the service KQI and the device level KPI. How to link the incident with the network service. So this still need some standard solution to address this kind of challenge. Challenge number 2, and high trial cost. The most actually, maybe more than 70 of network downtime actually is because of misconfiguration. And if you really test the configuration or validate the configuration in the physical network, the cost is very expensive. And this can be aggravated actually when you introduce some new service. You need to make sure the new service will not interfere with the existing service. So this really causes high trial cost. And challenge number 3, actually reactive network optimization. The current actually network management architecture, usually you have controller to responsible configuration program in the network. You have network analytics platform responsible for service monitoring, service assurance. So they lack a good coordination. So it's very hard to provide automated solution, build the closed loop. In addition, actually there's no automation tool to validate or test these kind of policies. So in many cases, you just be afraid, generate the policy and install the policy directly. This may cause the network crash down. So usually you just provide a recommendation. So this really needs some automated solution to address these kind of challenges. So to address these challenges, actually many mainstream SDO, began to explore in this field and investigate various different use cases and requirements in 3GPP and ETSI. Actually, they kick off the study item. They began to explore some key use cases and requirements. And also in IETF, actually, they began to define, network digital twin architecture, and also they began to define some key technology, not only in data plane, control plane, but also in the managing plane. So break down this technology a little bit. Actually, we have the telemetry not only in the managing plane, such as gRPC or YANG push or UDP distribution, but also you have telemetry in the data plane, such as IFIT and ROM, and in control plane you have BMP and BGPRS related protocols. And for technology in the managed plane, actually you can further break it down into network visibility, NAS API, service creation, NAS API, service monitoring, NAS API, and also service maintenance, service NAS API. For example, network incident management can be seen as actually service maintenance NAS API. So actually in IP community, operation is very challenging. We never have the tools that is good enough. Take actually Google Map example, and can you imagine you can navigate without it, or you can have alternative navigation application. So that's where network digital map grows. And compared to the transportation map, you have road, you have the traffic. So for the network digital map, you have a traffic node actually as well actually. So you with holograph of the physical world, you really can navigate the traffic with multiple choices. Either you can select least cost path, or you can select fastest path. When network state get a change, you can guide the traffic to the better path. So let's take a look at Huawei NC cutting-edge technology network digital map. So network visibility provides foundation for everything. So let's take a look at how network digital map can do about it. Play the first clip video.
Digital map provides views of 6 layers: physical, slicing, network, root, service, and application. Big data engine processes massive data in seconds and presents multi-dimensional indicators, including real-time latency, bandwidth, and energy consumption, etc., of 100,000 links on 30,000 devices, truly achieving one map for the entire network.
So misconfiguration causes, more than 70% of network downtime. So let's take a look at how network digital map can tackle this typical challenge. Play the video.
In the preceding case, the network change entailed the need to modify the routing policy on Wuhan P01. Network engineers evaluate risks before delivering configurations. Enter the routing policy configurations to be changed, starting tenant verification to learn the potential impact on the network. The verification result indicates that another 980,000 routes will be added in Guangzhou, which is fraught with risks. Check the details about the changed flow. We find that the flow path between Guangzhou and Shanghai has changed, and the flow path between Chongqing and Hangzhou has been interrupted. In this case, intent verification successfully detects incorrect configurations in advance, thereby intersecting a potential major network accident.
So when network state changes, also the traffic will get changes. So let's take a look at how network digital map can, optimize the network to schedule the resource to meet the service requirements. Play the video.
The network digital map can continuously monitor network quality. Big data engine processes massive data in seconds and detect network SLA deterioration in real time, automatically perform the path optimization. With the help of intelligent cloud map algorithm, path computation takes only seconds while taking into account more than 20 factors. The automatic optimization function of network digital map reduces the service optimization time from days to minutes. Service SLA is continuously guaranteed.
So we have already demonstrated network digital map work for the carrier scenario. The similar challenge also exists in the campus scenario and also data center network scenario. And NC campus and NC fabric can also build network digital map to adapt each scenario. So network digital map is not just concept, it's already get commercial used. So we have opened the showcase in MPL's Congress booth. So you are more than welcome to see our real stuff. Thanks for listening.
So thank you, Qing, for enlightening us about digital map and network automation. Before I introduce the next speaker, again, I would like to remind you that as you exit the room, you can pick up a small gift at the reception desk. And also, we have a cocktail party for you to interact with the speakers today and also other industry colleagues. So now let me move on to our next speaker, Ms. Wen Huizhi, who is the Solution Director of Huawei. Although not a frequent speaker in industry event, Ms. Wen is the enabler of many Huawei products and solutions. Without her, many of the good things in the industry will not happen. So she is the unsung hero of our Huawei and our industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Wen to talk about managed service for operators to increase new revenue. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm a little nervous. I'm Wen Huizhi. You can call me Wen. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to communicate with you guys here. The topic of my speech is about the 2B private network to enable enterprises use networks as clouds. So as all we know, the second wave of industry digitalization is coming. And about the industries of the second wave is about the, can I use this? It's about the education, healthcare, and the manufacturing and the retail, etc. And we all know that these industries are also the advantageous industries for carriers to be services. And also these industries in the second wave are not as good as in the first wave. They are not good at ICT technology or not have the good network foundations. So they have many new requirements. First, the digital transformation brings complexity new ICT scenarios because in the industry transformation, ICT foundations has become the key to improve their business efficiency. So they most prefer to manage the services more than other industries. And the second, digital transformation brings cloud-based service. Service deployment on multi-clouds has stronger requirements about end-to-end service SLAs. Last, the cloud, IoT, and we all know the remote office break network boundaries. So security protection needs to be upgraded for these industries. To meet these requirements, carriers' networks also face many challenges like lack of tenant-level operation capabilities, need to improve platform to guarantee end-to-end service quality. Also, need to provide intelligent management security environment. So to address these challenges, we recommend that the architecture of carriers 2B networks need to be upgraded from these 5 domains. First, in the physical network domain, the physical network we think need to provide elastic and on-demand connect from LAN to the cloud access, also to cloud interconnection, then to the DC network. Well, based on this physical network, a user network needs to be constructed to meet enterprise users' requirements for RSA guarantee and free mobility. This user network is a virtual dedicated network for enterprise users. And to better construct these 2 networks, a unified management platform is required to implement agile service provisioning, efficient cross-domain collaboration, and also intelligent operation and maintenance to improving the efficiency of end-to-end planning, construction, operation, and optimization. Also, security is always a hot topic with digital transformation. Carriers should provide integrated security services with all scenario protection capabilities from the cloud to network to edge and to terminal. That's to safeguard the enterprise services. Finally, carriers should need to develop network APIs and service APIs to open network capabilities to enterprises. The APIs should be easily integrated into the customer's IT systems so that business departments or other customers who do not know network well could use networks well. Okay, in the physical network domain, we believe that for key principles must be observed. First, the architecture should be unified and modular designed. Then the cloud access network can be pre-deployed on demand based on enterprise heat map. We can see that the heat map shows where there are many enterprises like these red circles. Access nodes can pre-deployed in these high-valued areas to reduce provisioning time. And the physical network structure also should be designed based on quality. Latency is one of the key points of cloud experience. So we think there are two important 1 millisecond latency circles in cloud services. Well, the first one is the latency circles between multi-clouds for storage active service, and the other is between CPE to the edge DC for latency sensitive services like VR. Also, reliability is also must be considered. Okay. Sorry. Based on physical network, enterprises maybe want to build an independent user network for themselves. Also, it's virtual, not physical. This user network, we think, should provide the same experience as the dedicated enterprise network. To achieve this goal, the control plane and the forwarding plane must be redesigned. First, on the control plane, while our enterprise controller is needed to provide independent management and control views for each user. To improve efficiency, because it's used for many users, we think the controller should be cloud-based with multi-tenant capabilities. In addition, orchestrator needs to be there to implement the orchestration between the overlay network and the underlay network. For example, it could orchestrate the service SLA identifiers between the two layers to achieve quality assurance. On the forwarding plane, while an identifier is required to carry the SLA requirements of users, maybe even of the applications, the identifier traditionally we used by DSCP. However, with the diversity of the users and the services, DSCP are limited. So in the future, we think APN 6 that Robin just mentioned can be used in this scenario, because in APN 6 we can carry user group information and application information in APN ID. Also, we can carry SLA information in the APN para. So in addition to this identify, we also need a method to assure the service quality on the network. And here, the end-to-end slicing is recommended. Also, the start point of slicing can be from the AP here in the campus to the cloud PE. Okay. So this digitalization will drive carriers to provide services into campuses. This will lead to a large increase in the number of devices to be managed, which possesses more requirements on operation and maintenance efficiency. Also, in the campus, the increase of this number mainly in Wi-Fi devices. For example, the Wi-Fi APs in university could reach tens of thousands. Therefore, the Wi-Fi operation and maintenance efficiency is very important for 2B services. It can be improved from the following points. First, the delivery must be fast. We can use 3D network planning, barcode scanning, and plug and play to shorten the Wi-Fi installation and configuration time. Second, to reduce manpower consumption, the user experience must be ensured. So the big data collaboration and the intelligent optimization are used to achieve no interruption during the Wi-Fi roaming. Second, the operation and maintenance must be simple. So we can use the protocol playback, user journey playback, and individual and massive fault locating to implement minute-level fault diagnosis. Okay, about the security, the digital transformation brings greater security challenges to enterprises. So in lack of security skills, enterprises also want security as a service and better integrated with network services. To provide this integrated service, we think the target architecture need to achieve 4 convergences from the all-in-one terminal protection to the converged gateway to the converged resource pool and to the management platform. So convergence not only reduces costs, we think it also enables employees to work anytime, anywhere without reducing their productivity. So this all-in-one terminal protection converges NAC, EPP, and EDR, etc. into one platform. It can avoid the service conflict, also improve user experience and working efficiency. While this gateway converged the network gateway and the security gateway at the campus egress, so that some advantages of the security gateway, like the encryption and the decryption, also the accurate application identification. These advantages can be used to the network performance, like for selecting a path. Okay, so resource convergence means that the POP network resource pool and the security resource pool are converged. So the advantage of this, it can reduce latency and performance problems caused by traffic steering. While the last converged platform could implement unified monitoring and analysis, also it could help quick disposal. Okay, the last domain is about the service domain. So to provide better services for enterprise customers, carriers need to open up their network capabilities so that it can be easily integrated into other systems and realize network as a service. A good service-oriented architecture, we think it can't be separated from 3 layers. First, also, of course, is the carrier infrastructure. Well, then the network APIs are encapsulated from these infrastructure capabilities. The carrier need to set up a service platform. This platform transformed and encapsulate network APIs into service APIs. Also, they have their own portals to their customers or themselves. The last part is about the application. The service API directly opened to the application to be integrated into the IT systems. Okay, so here is a use case we can look about the cloud video conference scenario. In the after-sale phase, maybe the customer wants to provide a special assurance for important conferences. The carrier first encapsulate their network APIs based on the infrastructure, while the parameters may be VPN as a policy or slicing. Then the service platform can transform and encapsulate the QoD service APIs. The parameters may be VIP level, maybe IP MAC. So we can see that the service APIs is more easy to be integrated by the network APIs because it blocked many detailed information about the network. Okay. So the last page, let's have a review. Because of the second wave of industry digitalization is coming, so it brings great opportunities and challenges to carriers. So we recommend that the network architecture to be upgraded in 5 domains. In the physical network domain, use heat maps and latency circles to achieve on-demand elasticity. And the user network domain, achieve end-to-end quality assurance through O&U collaboration. And the operation and the maintenance domain can help extend the services to LANs with high efficiency. The fourth domain about the security. Security domain, we think it should provide integrated network and security services by converging the two infrastructure to eliminate the enterprise users' security concerns. Last, the service domain uses network APIs and service APIs to accelerate carriers' business monetization. Okay, that's on my part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wang, for enlightening us about managed service, and especially that network need to be redesigned in 5 domains to better support to be service. Our last speaker will be Mr. Zhuo Meng, who is the president of Huawei's service router business. He will give the summary remark. You know, with a president title and a handsome picture, Zhuo Meng really don't need any more introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zhuo Meng.
Thanks, Dr. Xiao. Dear customers, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation and sharing. In past 2 hours, we dove into the evolution of the next generation of IP network and saw many innovative practices. It is obvious that an intelligent world is coming. The intelligent world depends on intelligent IP connectivity. IP play a key role in connect all things and all applications. Recently, we have seen digital technologies and the traditional industries become deeply integrated. Many new business models, applications, and scenarios are emerging. They bring new opportunities and challenges for operators. As a leading IP production and solution provider, Huawei will continue to work closely with operators and industry partners to provide better products and technologies for continuously innovation and business success of operators. Although I give the closing speech for IP Gala now, it is just a start for our next 3 days technical fest. We warmly welcome you to visit our booth, discuss the challenges and solutions in person with our experts. Your ideas, insights, and experience can enrich our understanding of IP technologies and inspire us to think more creatively to solve problems and create value. Finally, I sincerely invite you to our cocktail party. Thank you, and enjoy your stay in Paris. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes Huawei's IP Gala 2023. Please pick up your small gift and join the cocktail party to interact with our speakers and other distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much.